So last week I went shopping at a supermarket right at Mboya Street, Nairobi CBD. So I drove to Mboya, and there's this particular specific parking lot where I usually park my car every Sunday when we go shopping as a family. So this particular parking lot is right in front of the KCB bank. So I got there, I stepped out of the car and I walked into Tuskys. So after 1 hour of, shopping and, sampling what's at the shelf, I stepped out of the supermarket, and when I looked at the spot where I'd parked my car, that car was not there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a story that dates back to 2018. I remember it was on a Sunday morning. So when I realized that my car was not there at the same spot I'd parked when getting into the supermarket, you can imagine I completely got out of touch with reality. I was really shaken. If you live in this town, very many parking spaces are always written, park at your own risk. And to be very honest, I've never taken those warnings seriously until this particular Sunday morning when I could not get my car. So in that moment of confusion, in that moment when I was trying to gather reality together and figure out what exactly was going on, I went to the guards that stand in front of KCB Bank, of course, at Mboya Street, and I desperately tried to engage them if they could have seen somebody, driving away that particular car that I was describing. But unfortunately for me, not for them, they had not seen that particular car that I was describing. At this point in time, my good people, I want you to note that I was not shaken because this car was missing. I was shaken because my 4-year-old boy, Ryan, was inside the car at the time that I had gone to shop. I had locked him in the car because I knew I would not take long. So the mere fact that this car was missing right at this moment also meant that my son, Ryan, 4 years old, had also gone. So two things: either this was a case of kidnapping or it was a case of carjacking. Either way, I knew I was in deep, deep trouble. I knew better not to call my wife Shiro, because for those who are married to the kind of woman I'm married to, they're not the kind of women you call them and tell them that their sons are missing, especially their firstborn 4-year-old. So I knew better not to call my wife. I would have seen hell on earth. So in that confusion as a man, your car missing, your son missing, you're right in the middle of Nairobi CBD, perhaps the busiest business district in Africa. You do not know what to do. I think that's the moment you see the sun set at noon. So I did what any other ordinary Kenyan would do. I took a bike, there's always some motorbikes around Archive area, and rushed to Central Police Station, right at the end of Moi Avenue, opposite the University of Nairobi. And then I went and reported this matter to the police. It's also good to know, my dear viewer, that I had not yet talked to my wife Shiro at this moment that I was going to Central Police. I remember getting to Central Police. The lady who was at the OB desk was Senior Sergeant Kemunto, a middle-aged lady, easy to talk to. And in the desperate situation that I was, I narrated to her everything. I told her, hey, I just came here innocently with my son to shop. I parked my car where I usually park my car. It was one spot. But after shopping, I did not get my car. I did not get my kid. I really, really need you people to assist me. I remember Senior Sergeant Kemunto asked me the $1 million question. Have you told your wife? I was honest with her. I told her, no, I have not yet, because I was acting on impulse. I was very shaken, I was very confused, and I didn't have the courage to tell my wife Shiro that her kid had been kidnapped and her car, it was our car, family car, had also gotten stolen as well. So in a very motherly nature, in a very loving way, Senior Sergeant Kemunto asked for my wife contacts, and she was able to call Shiro. My good people, I don't know how my wife Shiro got from our house in Ruiru to Central Police Station in 10 minutes, given that particular traffic that is always on Thika Superhighway. I do not know to date. But I think it's possible because you don't tell a woman their kid is missing. So in what seemed like 10 or 15 minutes to me, my wife Shiro was there. She was wailing, screaming, and demanding for the police at Central to help get her son as soon as immediately. Men who are watching can know the situation I was in. I've lost my firstborn kid who is 4 years old. I've lost my first car. And Shiro is my wife. 3 tragedies. So, like they do in police stations around the world, Kenya's a case study. I was told the officers would liaise with the DCI at Kiambu Road, and they would be able to give us feedback in 24 hours. They were going to launch investigation and manhunt. So we were advised to go home. How do you go home to be with your wife, yet you've lost your kid who's 4 years old, and your wife is mad at you for, first of all, leaving your son in the car? It would have not taken a lot of effort to go with your son to the supermarket. So I knew that house of ours in Ruiru was going to be a living hell for me. But all the same, we went back home. First day, no communication from officers from the Central Police Station. Second day, again, no communication. We consulted our pastors. We had a lot of priests coming in. We had a lot of relatives calling in to, give us comfort and encourage us and tell us that in the fullness of time, everything was going to be okay. My wife Shiro sank into the lowest levels of depression because then she had suffered so much to get that kid, especially with her CS and all that. Hers was not the normal delivery. So again, men who are watching, you can get. So the third day, I remember my mom-in-law visiting us in Ruiru again, very distraught and very confused as well. She had heard very many stories about this Nairobi town, kids getting lost, being sold to Scandinavian countries, human trafficking, and the entire shebang about the sale of human beings. So there was a lot of controversy that was surrounding the kidnapping of my son, Ryan. As a man, I didn't want to listen to the theories. I wanted to let the police do their work so that in the fullness of time again, we would get ahead doing. I remember very well it was on the 4th day of real struggle, real social trauma, that finally Senior Sergeant Kemunto, of course, from Central Police Station called. Kemunto ordered us to revisit. So Senior Sergeant Kemunto ordered us to rush to Central Police Station so that we could verify if the headway that had been made regarding our case was true in regard to the complaint that we had lodged earlier in the week. That's on Sunday. So my wife Shiro and I got to Central Police Station and we did so as fast as we could, because again, you can imagine the kind of distress that we were in as a family. So we rushed there as soon as we could because we really wanted to get our Ryan back. And if there was somebody who was holding them on ransom, we wanted to know the terms and conditions of that particular kidnapping so that we could begin the facilitation to release our kid from whoever was holding them. Tukafika huko and there she was, Senior Sergeant Kemunto. and she told us she had received, not her, but the Central Police Station had received information from Huruma Level 5 Hospital, the mortuary department, that a body of a 4-year-old boy, an identified boy, had been reported there, and we needed to go there and confirm that indeed this was Ryan who had been taken there dead. My good people, when we got that information, there was nothing to be happy about, because number one, as a parent, you're wishing that is not Ryan. Because if it's true, you identify positively that that is Ryan, your 4-year-old boy, then effective immediately you become the parents of a dead boy. But again, if you confirm negatively that that body does not resemble that of your son, you still continue to be the parents of a missing kid. In your own way, using your own parameters, you can judge which one between the two is more painful. But for us, as much as we didn't want to go to identify that body, whether it's negatively or positively attributed to that of Ryan, we had to go because that was included in the police investigation protocols. Sisi hao, Uber, we were given one officer who was assigned to oversee our case, and we drove to Huruma General Hospital. At this point in time, my good people, you can almost imagine, in our 2-year marriage, we had only been blessed by Ryan. The kind of things that were running in our minds, my mind and my wife Shiro's mind. You can also imagine the kind of calls that we were receiving, especially from my parents, Shiro's parents, who are my parents-in-law, our friends, our workmates. There were a lot of calls coming in, and most of them, everybody literally within our circles were holding their breath, hoping beyond all hopes that either this was not Ryan. But again, even if that was not Ryan whose body was there, we were going to see, where then was our son? I remember very well the distance between Central Police Station and Huruma General Hospital was the longest yet. We wanted to get there as soon as possible and ascertain this fact. We got to Huruma Hospital. At the entrance of the General Hospital, we got 2 medics and 2 mortuary attendants waiting for us. They had, of course, received instructions from the police to receive us and help us identify the body of the 4-year-old kid who had been reported, taken there. At this moment, as a man, you also talk to your God. You pray that, hey, I hope that body I'm going to identify is not for my son. You cannot imagine going to view the body of your son. Yet, the last time you were with him, you left him unattended to in a car on a very busy street like Mboya Street. So the pain that was in my heart is unmeasured. You cannot begin to imagine. So fast forward, my wife Shiro and I and a friend of ours who had accompanied us, we are ushered into Huruma General Hospital mortuary wing. Very many drawers, very many body boxes, body bags, a very damp environment, an environment that spells gloom, an environment of sadness. I don't know if you guys have ever visited a mortuary, but then once you walk into those corridors, it gives you the moral lesson that life is a short trip. And the mortuary walls do not know what you achieved when you were alive, how poor or rich you are. All of you lie there in cold drawers. When I walked into Huruma General Hospital mortuary corridors, my entire life played in front of my eyes. Nevertheless, I just wanted to see that body and confirm if it was my son Ryan or not. I don't want to talk about my wife Shiro. She was in a situation my good friend Frederick Aringo calls catch-22 situation. A situation where you thank God for life, but you wish you were dead because the sadness that life brings. So we walked into those corridors and we finally got into the children's wing of the mortuary. I've never imagined myself as a man trembling, but that day I did tremble a lot. We were taken to the drawer where that body had been kept. I saw the mortuary attendant put on his gloves, rub his hands on some ice, disinfect his entire robe, ready to open the drawer so that we could identify the body. It is at that moment, my good people, that I woke up screaming and cursing, and my wife, she woke up and held me and asked me what was wrong. Why was I screaming in the middle of the night? I didn't answer her. I just wanted to go to my son's room and confirm that he was there and alive. So I ran to my son's, Ryan's room, and the boy was peacefully sleeping, unbothered by what was going on. That is when I realized that it was just a dream. Moral lesson: pray before you go to bed.